Miguel Barrister.
Mama, Vendo, how are you?
I'm very well, sir. And you?
I'm very well. How's everyone doing?
We're all good. We're all good here in Nigeria.
Good. Yeah, Ibadan is fine here. I'm in Nigeria in Ibadan. It's fine.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm currently in Ilori and everything is just quiet. So
I will do a stopover at Kogi and see. Yeah.
okay. Don't forget to connect with Natasha and Akpabio too.
I've already seen them.
All right. Okay. I
Mhm.
hope all is going well.
Yeah, very well.
Okay.
Oh,
Anyway, the current VDM's issue
mhm.
has taken our
Yes,
minds off that a
that's
little.
right. Yes.
So
So
thank
good to
So,
see everyone. Good afternoon. This is your brother Sylvester.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Madam Boss. Good afternoon, boss, principal lecturer, provost, chancellor,
Don't forget doctor and prof, very important. Doctor.
prof. Mm.
It's so funny.
Prof. Achimong, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, how are you, sir? It's a pleasure, barrister, to see you here today.
Paul Ekene. We got Paul Ekene.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're gonna start. The recap of what we. Okay, Paul, were you with us last week?
No, I wasn't, sir.
So why weren't you with us?
Well, I wasn't. I did not have your WhatsApp number last week. I was given the wrong information. I tried to attend the class by 11:30 p.m. Saturday last week a.m. Sorry, but no one was in the meeting room.
Okay, because the rest came anyway. Sorry about that. Let me just quickly do a recap of what we treated last week, and then enter what we need to do today. So you still have time for you to meet up with what we examined last week. Okay? Yeah. Just a quick one. Anything you do not understand, please do not hesitate to let me know. Today we'll be talking about data governance policy, but I just wanted to understand last week we examined data governance components, of which we talked about people. Don't forget, during the open day, we made it known that data is the most valuable asset after
People.
So, which of course we did ask questions. Which one is the most valuable asset? So some of you agree that people, which of course that's right. So that being said, people happen to be the first component we have in data governance. The people include all the stewards, the stakeholders, and directors, leaders, managers, leader who brings out the vision and come out with the strategy and set the directions of the goals and the objectives of the program itself. So what they do when they set the strategy, which of course the program, they have kind of design the process of the program or the processes, and also talk about the policy that with the program will run by during the process. You can't do that without standards. The standards set could result to best practice in which you carry out your own the program to run the program. And when all those are done, you have to secure your system, secure your program both internally and externally, and then you socialize it to all stakeholders and also communicate the program to all stakeholders as well in different form. And some of the part of this communication could be public domain or private as well. Not everything is unveiled to the public domain. Reason being that yes, people do not need to have some information at first sight unless they are really keen to it. That's why haven't you seen any website that maybe you enter in a website and you got some information. They say if you want to know more, please click this link, and you click the link, and what happened? They will say register with your name, your email. Have you seen that before?
Oh yes, and payment sometimes follows.
So payment is because probably your payment sometimes follow. Okay, now yeah, so that is how you communicate some of your information across. Don't forget, data means information. Okay, every country in the world they spend money. They normally budget heavily on information. So knowledge is power, is light, and it's a driver of all values that you want to create. So that being said, you need to also have metrics in which you measure the performance of your program, whether it's going very well or not. And if it's not going well, you have to do an evaluation. Of course, this cannot take place without, technology. So we have softwares of carrying out every aspect of your program. So this is how it is. That's just a summary of what we actually did last week. Going straight to why we're here today, we're talking about policy. And before I talk about the policy, I want us to know why this issue of policy is very important, because if we don't get that policy on time treated, then anytime we are talking about some aspect of data governance, then when we mention policy, your mind may not really go. Who can see that? Oh, can you see that?
I can.
Okay, what do you see here?
Data governance manager, City of London, up to £125 per annum, and Oliver James Associates, permanent and expired.
Good. Okay. If your hand is up.
Oh yes, sorry. I wanted to talk about. I was talking about data. I don't know if anyone saw that Nigeria has recently threatened to fine Facebook the sum of over $290 million, and Facebook has threatened to cut off Nigeria over the huge fines being given to them. They say they're going to cut Nigeria off Facebook. So I don't know but that's all to do with data.
Of course. Thank you so much for that information. This information are very necessary. Thank you so much, Efe. So that being said, if you look at here, you see 125,000. Okay, and if you look at here, data operation manager, this is 400 to 500 per day. Okay, and this is 70 to 90, depends on the experience to 80. So all these are depends on experience as well. So, but the main thing that is in this place is the core responsibility. Number one here is what? To develop what? Policies. So there are different kind of policies to develop. Means there's already a policy, but the policy does not match with the data they have at the moment. So they need to employ Paul to operate. And you normally can have this job remotely wherever you are in the world. Okay, that being said, I just wanted to understand this, talking about policies. Okay, now what they want to employ you for, that's what we want to do now. Policies. Okay. James, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Good, thank you. So I want us to take note of it, because I have only 1 hour, 20 minutes to finish this. what we need to treat today, because I have other commitment. So data governance policy, okay? So we have policies. What do you know about policy? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think if we mention about policy? What do you know about what a policy? What it is?
They are rules and guidelines that ensure anything is properly managed. Say, for example, even in our homes, we could have rules or regulations saying that children should go out and come back at a certain time, and everyone will agree that yes, if we go out at 7 p.m. in the evening, sorry, if we go out in the morning or in the afternoon, by 7 p.m., everybody needs to be back in the house, and everyone agrees to that rule, saying that yes, everybody needs to be back in the house before 7 p.m. If not, you can't get into the house anymore. So that could be a rule or that could be a regulation. And then, of course, there are guidelines anyway that people could put in place to make sure things are properly done. And then it needs to comply with any security within the organization. So in case of data management, there must be some sort of security and there must be compliance within the organization. But the important thing is everybody agrees on those guidelines. We had one in the church where we're trying to rent out a church premise for hiring out for events, parties or anything. And one of the rules we put in place was that there must be no alcohol anywhere on the premise because it's a church building. And everyone agreed to it, and that's what we put in the policy. So we can have policies in the house, we can have them anywhere. Policy
Thank
could
you.
be, yeah. All right.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. That was fantastic. Any other person? Okay, now let me go in straight. I like the way you come out with the policy guidelines, and it's also a legal term as well. So putting in context, we must understand that without policy, something cannot run. So data governance policies are formal guidelines, okay, formal guidelines that define how an organization manages and also protects and utilizes its data assets. So I want you to know that we're talking about data assets, how they manage, how they govern their asset here is very paramount, okay? They also have to protect it. So those guidelines are very, very important. So in other words, if you say formal, because it is documented. Okay, we have different kind of policies to do that. Okay, so these policies ensure data, quality, data security, compliance, and also, accountability across the enterprise that you are working. Okay, there are key components of data governance policy. Okay, and we might have to touch that briefly later, but also making mention of different kind of policy matters. So first of all, data ownership and stewards, what they do is actually they define rules. So for example, what they do is that the policy defines the roles and responsibility of data owners. Who are the data owner? If I give you example, if I ask you a question that if you are working in a bank, you receive a message from the court that so someone, a candidate, should be submitted to the court. Who has the responsibility? Who has responsibility and accountability?
For creating policies.
No, I'll go again. For example, there's a case in the court, and this case that's in the court requires someone's someone's bank detail to be submitted to the court and receive a letter from the court to the bank to provide such person data, whose responsibility in the bank to take care of that request?
The account manager.
Sorry?
Say the account manager.
The account manager. Okay, who else again? Any contribution from another person?
I mean, it could be the accounts manager, but then again, it could also be anyone else assigned in the bank to do it. So
Yeah,
it could also be the manager.
I love the word assigned. Someone who is assigned to be the custodian of that data. It could be a manager, it could be a clerk, it could be whoever that is in charge of the data, which of course that person is called data owner. Okay? Data owner is the one who is in charge. The chief accountant is the one in charge of any data within the accounting. Okay? If you talk about data with respect to the maintenance of a car or of any equipment, the manager who has been assigned to take care of the data is the custodian, is the data owner. Is that correct? Is that okay? Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. So anyone that is assigned to become, one of the problems you may face, challenges you face when you are employed is to look at who is the data owner. So, and why? Because they say, what is it in it for me? So that matters a lot. So there is a policy once you are a data governance manager, there's always going to be a policy with respect to, ownership. Okay, data ownership is very important. So why? Because it defines roles and responsibility of data owners, such as what? Department heads or business unit
leaders.
These people are very accountable for specific data set. They are the one in charge. Anyone else who will release such data to another person or third party, then he has a problem. So it also outlines the process of appointing data owners. The policy has a process. He outlined the process. I'm teaching you how to do policy. How to do policy. It also aligns the process of appointing data owners and their authority in making data-related decisions. That is the work of data owner. So that work of data owner must be put in a document called data ownership policy. The roles will be spelled out. Who is involved, the focus of who is involved is there. And what would they do? They have the authority, the power. And why do they have the power? Because they need to take decisions, and informed decisions with respect to data entrusted in their care. Okay? That is data ownership policy. There is another policy called data classification and sensitivity policy. Okay? Data what? Classification and sensitivity what? Policy. What is it for? This policy categorizes data into different sensitivity levels. For instance, we have the public, we have internal and confidential. Okay? And specifies how each category should be handled. So in that document, when we term policy for data classification sensitivity, includes guideline on what? Encryption, access controls, and sharing restriction for sensitive data. Now, I'm going to ask, okay, if your hands up.
Yes, I was going to say that a lot of emails that we get nowadays, at the bottom of that email, they will put this, especially when it's something to do with maybe like pay or some sort of sensitive information in the organization which is being shared. They will say at the bottom of that email, they will say, this email must not be forwarded or shared with anyone outside the organization. Because if you do that, you'll be liable to prosecution or something like that. So it's clearly stated at the bottom. Then for other emails, they don't say anything at the bottom. But one, so they always put that level of confidentiality, or says for public, this is for public consumption. Then the other one is for only internal people. So it's always at the bottom of a lot of documents that are shared within the organizations nowadays.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that insight as well. So let's splash words on this, or let's delve into it properly. Different sensitivity levels. We're talking about levels here right now. Is that okay to everyone? Level, we're talking about level 1, level 2, level. You can have different levels. You understand that? Do we understand that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good. Good. Now, I gave an instance. All right. If you're doing project, we say level 1, commissioning, level 2, level 3. People have different, when you talk about data classification, it has different levels. For example, public, before now I told you that if you want to socialize and also communicate information concerning enterprise, they will put it in the public domain, but not everything they put in the public domain. That's restriction. That's by classification. There are things that will go for public domain. But when it comes to internal memorandum, internal things, then anyone, any stakeholder from who is interested in the activities of the company may not have access to it, or let's probably give some kind of a gateway for it by say, okay, you know what is your name if you want to know more? What is your name, this and that, we need to capture your data as well, so that they know who has come to collect the data and why do you need this, because you are a manager or you are a student, you are this and that. They want to know who you really are before you get to some level. But when it comes to some confidential documents, classified documents, not everyone have access to it. Even in United States, not everyone have access to security documents. Even the president, unless he's given the authorization to have, because by virtue of his position. But then after that, you return the classified documents. If you don't, you take it to your place or where you live, then you know what will happen. Cases are going on in the United States. So confidential document is confidential document. It must not even be out. That is very important. And these have to be specified anytime. And they are, in most cases in companies, they are coded. So when you see this kind of code, then you know it's confidential in this and that. So they are normally being categorized, and also so that we know how to handle them. Okay. So, and in most cases, having access to those things needs what is called control. You can even encrypt, because they may not be able to have ability to reach those documents unless they have access. And you can also create an access restriction to that effect. Okay. So what Barrister put here, it says sometimes they also state do not need add if it is not necessary. Very important. Okay. And they are all legal documents. If you said they are legal documents, especially personal health document, that is a very typical example. Okay. So you as a data governance manager, you must be very, very careful. First of all, classify documents as they come and see how it goes, and then draw a policy to that effect, how those different kind of document after classification, how sensitive they are, then draw a policy to that effect. Is that okay, everyone? Is that okay? Good, 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 very important. I'm going to ask some few questions when the time comes. So we need to know, because when I gave you the amount they pay a data governance manager, the first responsibility talking about policy, they don't joke with it at all. Even there's a new law passed now, new law passed in this, and I think I sent it to those stakeholders I'm having, so they have put in the different platform at the moment. They put it in different platform at the moment, so it's very important that we get to know there. Okay, very important. Okay. You don't just get information on your WhatsApp, then you forward. You may be in trouble. at this point in time. I don't know if anyone has, because I forwarded it to someone. I don't know if anyone has it here, okay? Especially on WhatsApp. Because
Yes,
can you
I
read it
have it.
for us? Yeah, read it.
Okay. Just a second. So it says, good morning, everyone. Kindly read. Okay, sorry, that's just about the information. It says, as you may be aware, the Cybercrime Bill has now become an act of parliament, which means that it is now enforceable. Kindly bear in mind the following. Section 3. It is an offense to access someone's phone or computer. That's 5 years imprisonment. Section 4. It is an offense to modify, delete, obstruct, etc. someone's data. That's 5 years imprisonment. Section 5, it is an offense to communicate critical information to someone not authorized. That gives you 15 years imprisonment. Section 6, it is an offense to possess critical information. That's 15 years imprisonment. Section 10, it is an offense to record private conversations, even if you are part of the conversation. That's 2 years imprisonment. Does that apply to us in Nigeria? Section 19.
Just an example of classification here.
Okay. It is an offense to publish information which is misleading. 2 years imprisonment. Section 21. When you receive summons or police call outs for cyber crimes, it is an offense. It's an offense to disclose that. Okay. So if the police tells you to, the police calls you out, you can't tell anyone the police has called you out. Section 22 is an offense to be rude, indecent, or vulgar with intent to humiliate. That's 2 years imprisonment. Section 24, it is an act of domestic terrorism to attempt to incite ethnic divisions amongst the people of the Republic. That's imprisonment for life.
You
I
see
have read
that?
all of that.
Thank you so much for that insight. So do we all hear that at all? Hello?
Yes, well, I have seen it.
Okay,
and,
so
I'm just wondering, that section 10,
yeah,
that section 10 is one that a lot of people do, record private conversations, even if they are part of the conversation.
yeah.
So I'm wondering how that is going to be enforced.
It's going to be enforced. The thing is that if somebody is recording, tell the person, say, where our conversation, I'm recording it. Even company do record. Yeah, because company do record. Do you know that this our conversation is recorded for the purpose? They will say for the purpose. They must tell you the purpose why they are recording it. For the purpose of training or this and that. So normally it
that's
comes
very true. The banks do that all the time.
Okay, so very important. When any conversation you're having with someone, tell the person that I'm on record with you. If you don't like it, let me know. If you look at it, or even if you have a case with a company, ask the company, can we record our conversation? If you say no, say, well, because I need a transcript of it. How can I have a transcript? So they'll be able to tell you how you can have the transcript of whatever you need to do. Okay, so we all heard that. Do we hear that? Paul, did you hear that as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now, so let's go to the next one.
Sorry, there's another one. Section 22 is an offense to be rude, indecent, or vulgar with intent to humiliate. So, offense to be rude. So, is that including when you're on a blogger page on Instagram or something, and there's something that is on there, and someone starts insulting you, and then you start insulting?
That is the reason why you see that the social media now they are very sensitive at this point because of what has been coming out. A lot of people have committed suicide because of threat and because of people being humiliated, and those things have caused a lot in this world at this moment. So the most countries are now really on it to make sure social media should examine what their clients are doing so that they know how to remove them from their platform. So they are working very, very hard. That is why they need more data governance people to be employed. This is a digital world. There's no way no way it will come. It's always going to be going up and evolving. Yeah, with the evolving digital, there are also contemporary issues daily, not excluding what you just mentioned now.
Okay. So Section 6, is that applicable to INEC? It is an offense. It is an offense to possess critical information. That's 15 years imprisonment.
I think James and Paul can answer that for us, so that because James, over to you.
Madam Ife, I beg you, this is the Nigeria. It doesn't apply.
Are you afraid of her?
It doesn't apply here. That's the gospel truth.
Okay.
It applies if you're not in a position of power, but if you're in a position of power, it doesn't apply.
Okay. Okay.
As a senator, to not apply here.
Okay. All right, go to the. So we have data retention policy. There's a policy called data retention. This policy outlines how long data should be retained. You can't be keeping data for too long a time. You have WhatsApp, for example. Do you have WhatsApp? They send messages to you?
Yes.
Videos to you?
Yes.
How long do you keep a video from, your system? How long do you retain that? Okay. Sorry?
I said it depends.
It depends.
It depends
Okay.
on who you get it from.
Okay, if you get it from someone, that means you can retain it for more than 1 day.
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
1 month.
There's this option in WhatsApp that allows you to turn on disappearing messages, which for a while the message ahead you, something like that. And the good thing about it is if you are turning on the disappearing message, it will notify the person too. So the person knows exactly how long his or her message or whatever he sends to you will last on your own phone.
That's very good. I love that. So, but despite that, you still retain other ones for a very long time?
Yes, sir.
Why do you retain them?
If it's important to retain, and sometimes if it's not important, to save space in your device, you have to delete some.
Okay, so if it is important, now me use the word valuable, because now you are data governance manager. So you need to say something that is valuable is what you retain for a considerable period of time. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So very important. Yeah. Okay. There are information on the chat box, please put there by Barrister. So you should be able to get some information from there. That's good. Okay. Then which data should be archived? You know what is called archive? Do we understand the word archive?
Yes.
Okay.
Storage, like a storage system.
Thank you. So if you don't archive it, what you do, you can delete, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's
exactly.
very important. Yeah, it's very important that we need to get those policy. We need to get policy for retention, and also, the legal requirement for data retention is very important. There always you can't retain people's data without requirement. In this case, if you want to prepare this kind of policy, what will you do? Who are the stakeholders you need to meet to get this thing done?
So if you don't want to retain the policies, you said.
If you want to retain a policy, you want to retain data in that policy, if you want to make the policy, who are the stakeholders you need to meet to get that done? In fact, not only retention, all policy. Who would be the focus of attention in terms of getting to discuss with?
Well, again, in a company, there are some key people in any organization. It could be the director, it could be the human resource manager. It could be the IT people. So it really depends on how the organization outlines how the organization makes up their stakeholders. So those are
Okay.
the same people you need to
Can
meet.
you, yeah, that's very good. Yes, correct. Absolutely spot on. Can you tell me one of the persons that you go, department you can go for a quick, access to what is required of the policy?
IT, IT and HR. They are the one, or the legal departments.
It is the
So
legal department number.
department. So, but
Legal department very
sometimes,
important. Hmm.
yeah, but sometimes the legal department and HR kind of work together. So
Of
sometimes they
course.
come under one umbrella. So there will be a legal person in that HR.
Yeah, of course, that is true. But there must be legal team that will always be discussing with you, and then every other cross-functional department can be, called in to know what kind of requirement they need in terms of protection of data in their domain. Very important. So all stakeholders, including cross-functional department, and most especially legal and HR. Okay, that question will always be coming to you in an interview if you wanna. Okay, this to ensure that data is not kept longer than necessary and reduce data storage costs. Because don't forget that the more you store, the more no space for your for your database, space for your database to store more. Is that okay, everyone? Is that clear? Any question? Okay. Can anyone tell me any data that you have written recently? Anyone? Recently. Adeshida, who is Adeshida? Adeshida? Hello? Who is Adeshida? Adeshida, can you hear me? No, sorry, Adesina. Adesina.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. And how are you? How are you? How are you, Adesina?
I'm good, and you?
I'm all right. You calling from? You calling from? Adesina, you calling from London or which country you calling from? I hope you can hear me. Agatha?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, where you calling from?
Nigeria?
Oh, United States of Africa. Okay. You're welcome. Agatha?
Migo, sir.
Reverendo,
Mhm.
is that Rico? Is it
Yeah,
Rico?
Roger Come.
Okay. All right. Good to see you today as well.
Yes, sir. I did, sir.
Okay. So now, please take note of this because this policy is something you get to always do. Okay. Then we have data quality policy. Data quality policy. Who can tell me something about data quality policy? When they talk about quality, what do you think? What comes to your mind?
It's on the screen here. It says it defines standards for data accuracy, completeness, and so the data must be accurate. It must be complete. It must be consistent. It must be consistent, and it must meet the timelines.
Okay,
So,
for example, if you want to, okay, continue.
so for example, in every organization, as soon as you join, the first thing they ask is, what is your name? Will you get, sometimes you get like a form or something via the intranet or internet. And on that, they will ask you your name, your address, date of birth, national insurance number, and all that. So for them to have it on the system, that data must be accurate. You cannot say your date of birth is so, and then when you give it to them, there's a digit missing. Or you cannot say you were born in, say, for example, September, and then when you're giving it to them, you give them April. So it must, and then on their system, it must meet their own standards. So if the date of birth is put down as day, month, and year, that is how everything goes. So they cannot put, say, for example, if it's a date of birth, as they cannot put my year before they put my month, and then before they put the day. That's to the American kind of standard. It must all be the same. So in Britain, we follow that standard, that UK standard of putting in the date of birth. Then again, the same thing with the postcodes. Your postcode must, the UK, I think most postcodes are 2 letters, then they are usually 2 letters, then 2 digits, and then 2 digits again, and then you have 2 letters after that. So it must all follow that standard, and whatever is being put on there must be accurate. So there must be no digit missing. There must be, you cannot say you live in a postcode SW and then on the system it comes up as SA. It means when they're looking for you using just the postcodes, you might probably not come up on that system. And so that, and then also it must be complete. Like what I was saying about the postcodes, you always have 2 letters, 2 numbers. Sorry, sometimes 2 numbers in between or 4 numbers in between. And then you also have 2 letters after that, 2 alphabets after that, or 2 letters after that. So it must be complete, it must be consistent, and it must be it must meet the timeliness, and that timeliness will be things like speed cameras. They go by real time on speed cameras. As soon as you go through, that camera picks you up. Whatever time that camera picks you up is recorded. The accurate time is recorded against you. If not, that case can get thrown out in any law court. So data must always be properly defined, because if there's anything, any say like a case comes up or whatever, you have everything to pick back up, because any little flaw, it will cause the company financial strain or serious financial impact.
Okay. Okay. But thank you so much, Faye. Barrister, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you. I just thought I should share my recent experience with the bank, with you people. We all know the importance of the credit record or the credit file. I noticed in November, I received a letter that's TBS, what do you call it? I think it's TBS. Is it TBS? The bank, TSB, TSB. That I have 2 months that I've not paid. I said, I know I've got an account with TSB, but I've not used that account for more than 10 years. Lo and behold, someone opened an account with my name and now had an overdraft with it. They spent the money and they were obviously not paying back. I now made a complaint, and yesterday I received a letter saying that they were sorry and that the money, anyway, to cut a long story short, my account, my credit file record that was 900 plus, more than 950, because of that problem, went to 600 and something. And you can imagine what that means, And as soon as that was done, the thing just went up again to 900 plus.
Wow.
So you can see the importance of data management and records. That's just what I wanted to, yes. So
Thank
at
you.
the end of the day, data goes, in fact, the importance of data cannot be overemphasized.
Good, good.
You know,
Thank
like
you.
one
Thank you.
say, yes.
Thank you
After,
so much. Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Okay. And thank you, Ife, for bringing that up. Very important. I think if you also talk about real-time data, qualities, by speed camera too. You see, yeah, Barrister, thank you for bringing that up, because there are a lot of people passing through a lot of things without knowing what to do. And probably if you need any consultation to that effect, please do not hesitate to get in contact with a barrister. Okay. So thank you. Thank you so much. So when this aspect of let me be very frank with everyone, this aspect of data, policy is so much important that without it, there's no point of being a data governance. Because I define data governance as part of the quality and integrity. If your hand is up again, is that legacy?
Yes, sorry to interrupt. This data quality, this accuracy we're talking about is also is very important even in the healthcare sector. Imagine someone has received a letter before informing because there was a mix-up in the labs. They got the wrong result, and then they were asked to come into hospital. This is a real life story now. And the man was told he had cancer, and he has only few months to live. So of course, when they tell you a news like that, of course, automatically depression sets in, and the man actually became sick because he thought that he was going to be dead very soon, and then
Wow.
he was on his sick bed. So they were going through all the rigors of testing and all that. He was going through all of them.
Wow.
But then all of a sudden, a consultant came up and said, do you know what? Let's run another test again. And when they ran the test, they couldn't find any form of cancer whatsoever in his bloodstream, no tumors, nothing.
Wow.
So they said, let us retrace. Why is there nothing? Could it have been a miracle? Of course, miracles do happen. And when they retraced their footsteps, they found that there was a mix up in his case file and someone else's case file. And that was why the wrong result went to him. So they went back to tell this man who was practically dying on his sick bed that he couldn't move, he couldn't do anything, that sorry, we actually had the wrong case notes for you. Your result was mixed up with someone else's result. The man who had been dying all of a sudden just jumped up from the bed and said, so I am no longer dying. So the person who was weak in limbs and everything, all of a sudden became very strong because he found that he wasn't dying. But then again, what comes to mind now is that the real owner of that result, what is their own? Are they still alive? Or are they dead? Or did they not have to now go through that rigors of knowing that initially I had my result cleared, then all of a sudden somebody is telling me that we are afraid we made a mistake. We sent you the wrong result. In fact, this is the right result. You understand what I mean by a cash? It's not a cash 22. So
Yeah.
there's somebody very happy and there's someone who is very sad at this moment. And that's all because of mix up in results, the data from a lab. Thank
In
you.
fact, Barrister Manuel, thank you for that. Do we all understand that, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please, you need to answer me. Otherwise, I'll feel that you're not here. Better not to be here than to be here, not participating, because we believe in converting theoretical analysis to practical action, so that when you're working as an experienced somebody, you're not going for an interview as if panicking, as if you're just. You must understand why you're here. Okay. So Barrister, your hand is up, please, because I
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I think you know I just wanted to, I think you're aware of the story already.
Yes.
There was this couple that they were here before they relocated to Africa.
Nigeria. Yeah, Nigeria precisely.
And lo and behold, the doctor said, the moment they call amputation, they'll be looking at millions. It's so sad because when it comes to ethics, I think the doctors, lawyers, and some other professions, ethics is number one. The long and short of it is that there was nothing wrong with this guy. In fact, the so-called doctor in Lagos, I understand, it was actually one of the. Interestingly, pastor knows the guy. He was on duty, and when they came to have a second opinion in the UK from Africa, they said all the documents they brought were actually fake, that there was nothing wrong with this guy. You could imagine, in fact, the theater, everything was ready to go ahead. The wife now said, honey, why don't we go and have a second opinion in UK? After all, we have all it takes to go to the UK. And lo and behold, they went to King's, and King said there was nothing wrong with this guy. You can imagine that. And also, I think I've also heard yesterday on the news, the helicopter, Wike, we all know Wigwe, the Herbert Wigwe, the Access Bank gentleman, the result that came out that the pilot was not actually meant to move, was not meant to fly.
Yes.
And you can imagine that. You can imagine the death of innocent people.
Including himself.
See data, including himself, data. So the question is, who authorized that helicopter to fly? That is the question. That is the unanswered question now. Because the investigation has been concluded. Sorry. Go on.
Paul and James will answer that question.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, family is now upset that their opinion were not sought first, so they didn't contact them personally before releasing that report to the world. So that is the bone of contention now. Yes. So at the end of the day, this whole thing, this class, I mean, like we all say, is a very good. We are learning every day, day in, day out, lessons learned. Call it serious cases review. There's always something to learn. Because at the end of the day, you can imagine it's always good to have a second opinion, especially when it comes to one's health. There was this doctor in America he was just, as soon as you go to him, he said, you have cancer. They not carried out an investigation, and they not said, in fact, more than 90% of the people that he said had cancer didn't have cancer. Yes, you can imagine that. He was in prison for facts, literally almost life imprisonment. If you Google it, you will see it there. Yeah.
Oh, please, I want to get those information because it will help us to take care of it. Okay, thank you so much.
Will the imprisonment bring back the people he has killed?
That is it, exactly. And compensation too, anyway. They had to compensate the families.
Will it restore the life?
Not at all, not at all. That was what people were saying. That was exactly what people were saying. Then there was this GP too in UK. As soon as he does your surgery operation, he signs his signature inside of you. You can imagine that.
I heard that one.
Okay, thank you so much. I know we
must be someone who is insane.
No, don't worry. I'm more time conscious now because we're gonna leave.
Yeah, a lot of them, they actually have mental health issues.
Yeah, I know. I wish we have all day. I know normally we are teaching once it starts, people don't want to go and so many things. I appreciate all that, but it's good that those examples are very, very important. As you are receiving this, you're receiving it raw. Please take note of all these things because you'll be seeing it in industrial world. It doesn't matter what kind of enterprise you're working, wherever sector you're working, healthcare, fintech, education, and engineering field, I can tell you, you're going to be meeting this data. Okay, some of these people are working in Rolls-Royce and BMW and NHS, and even in educational setup in defense as well. you're going to meet in this data. So please, all data must be must have integrity. Integrity being that the honesty at work. So they must be true and also must, be at work. So accuracy simply means data correctly reflects the real world values it represents. That's what it is. And it is actually free from errors, has to be free from errors and conforms to truth or fact. For example, like what if we give a lot of example for these things already, and you will get this recording, and also you have literature to that effect. A customer's date of birth is recorded as maybe 1990, then before the month, which is 05, before the day 10th. And it can, instead of writing it maybe 1980, 05, 10. So those kind of, this is inaccurate case, some very inaccurate. So data, I can give you another example of saying that a GPS location is logged in a lodge logged as London when the delivery actually occurred in Manchester, UK. So those are inaccurate, data. Like when we're talking about completeness, for example, all required data is present. If the data are not present there are no missing there. There's going to be missing values. So all required data are present. Okay. There are no missing values or records necessary, for the intended use. For example, if the NHS or doctor, for example, if we need all required, data for someone's health, if it's not there, then that means something is missing. That's called incompleteness. But for completeness, all required data must be present. Do we understand that? For example, also a survey form has kind of survey form has feeds for phone number and email, but the email feed is left blank. It's incomplete. And also an employee record is missing, the department assignment, making it unusable for HRO analytics. Okay, if your hand is up.
Yes, I was going to say that even in supermarkets nowadays, there's now a requirement for them to put the exact ingredients that particular food is made up of, and the exact number. So if there's salt, sugar, and all that, they need to put the exact grams now, because because the food standards agency are being sued by people because they say, right, you didn't tell me that it had X amount of sugar in that food, and I was buying it. I didn't show on the can or whatever itself. I was buying it, and then suddenly I've put on all this weight. So I'm suing you. So they sued this food standard agency, or they say there was nuts in there, or there was some allergy situation in there, and they weren't told. So based on that, they've suffered from XYZ. Therefore, they're suing the food standard agency, or they're suing that particular company.
Thank you so much.
That's all to do with not having the right data on the can of food. Although in my country where I am at the moment, we don't really do any of that. So,
where are you?
In Nigeria.
Okay, no problem. So I think Adesina and Paul and James will be able to bring the standards to you where you are. Anyway, so let's talk about that. That's really typical, good example. Talking about liability due to non-compliance, because there are norms, there are regulations that have been put in place with respect to food standards. And if any enterprise not meeting up, not only that, you're talking about enterprise like, for example, restaurant or product, product manufacturers are not meeting up such standards, then they have risk and non-compliance issue, which could lead to heavy liability when they are sued. So as data governance, if you're an employee, you must mitigate against those things by looking at what is incomplete in the data they are putting in terms of labeling. And if we run not only just, let me be very frank with you, not only just putting the quantity of the ingredient, they also have to match it with color so that people who cannot read, they will also use color to detect the gravity of the quantity that is enshrined in that product. Very, very important. So that is why when I go to supermarket, when I see red, I don't take. I see green, one amber, yes, that green can flush the amber. Very important. So colors are very important as well. So there are so many signs that are put there. Please take advantage of whatever you need to. Thank you. Those are calling. So take is it this? That's me. That's me. I am colorblind. Okay. Anyway, so take advantage of whatever that is put on the chat box and then learn certain things from there. Okay. Right. Let's move. Let's move on. We talk about the completeness. Then consistency. Data is uniform across systems and formats. Okay, especially when you're doing standardization. So there are no contradictions within or between data sets. So if you are not they're not uniform, you need to cleanse, you need to have way to make sure you correct them. For example, if you have to put your name, they'll say James Ashburn. That's first name, second name. You don't go and put surname first before first name. So they want it to be consistent in whatever you do across the enterprise. Okay, and let me give an example of such. For example, if in one system that you have, a customer is listed as John A. Smith because if they like John O. Smith, like giving that example, and in another as J. Smith, it's causing confusion. You see, hands are up now, so let me just allow you to put who's on conference. If your hand is up, yeah.
Yes, even on our WhatsApp
Yeah.
or contacts on our mobile phones, I have Noble Diamond, Noble Gold, Noble Silver listed on my phone. So,
Yeah.
but there was a time I was looking for Noble Diamond to speak to, and I got confused because I had listed them using using minerals. So I decided that, you know what, let me cleanse this data on my phone. I'm putting the correct name, so I now corrected all the surnames. And then I got so now when I want to make a call, I don't have to go through Noble Diamond or Noble Silver or Noble Gold. I just go straight to the person I want because they are now properly listed in my phone.
It's very
Thank
important.
you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Barrister, your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to say that in terms of the order of name, sometimes it's not that straightforward. When you're completing some forms, they will ask you, on my passport, my first name is different from my first name in my driver's license or driving license. So they will ask you how you would want your name to appear. I actually prefer middle name. My first name is actually my middle name, but on my passport, it has my native name as my first name, but on my driver's license, it has my English name as my first name. So sometimes it's not as, because like I said, when you are completing some forms, they will ask you your preferred name. So, but the most important thing is that for the organization or the institution is what name have you given to them? What name do they have you as? Like I said, when TSB opened an account with me, obviously it was my passport that I use. Sometimes I use my driver's license. Sometimes I use my but anyway, they now found that the way the order of the name, in that account is different from the order of my name, and also the email address and the telephone numbers were different from mine. And
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for that. That means this is a typical example of confusion. It's a typical example of confusion. In an organization like TSB, we in their format of their data capturing will say first name first. Then they'll say if you have any other names, it will be second. Or they will just first name and surname. So, but if they now put your surname as first name, that's why it's going to be a problem. So every organization must have a format. That is why we're talking about, so that we will have consistency. So that's what we talk about. In the other side, we talk about to enable accuracy, completeness of everything. You must be consistent in a format in which you put your name. So, for example,
sorry, Pastor, could I quickly add? Because of what you just said now, because of this consistency, a lot of organizations, especially banks, they now stick to your first name as it appears on your passport or your driver's license. Yes. So because of this, consistency. Yeah. So because I know there are some that I've got passports and my driver's license, they stick to the one on the passport. Yes. Thank you.
No problem. It's about uniformity across system and formats. This is how to do it, this is how to do it. So on that basis, there are no contradictions within and also between a data set that they have. Okay. We also talk about timeliness. So that just requires data has to be up to date and available when needed. That reflects basically the most current state relevant to its use. Very, very important. And if we give example of the other time, for example, we have let me use COVID-19 case data. It's updated weekly instead of daily. Okay, making public health decisions less responsive. And also we have inventory data, inventory control. Inventory data is updated in some companies, depends on how they set up their system 24 hours after a sale, leading to stock ads, because the system will show items that are not available. And I say one of my areas that I developed an inventory control model in principal raw materials productive organization that I was able to manage an entire projects of manufacturing using both forward and backward recursive equation as an engineer. So that let's just keep that one because I have a lot to say about this. But those who want the literature will be sent to you, and that's no problem if that's okay. All right, so that's about the quality. So now this policy must put in place properly. It definitely going to outlines the processes for data validations, cleansing, because if the quality is not good, then what do? You have to validate them, then cleanse them, and monitor it over time, whether I can test, it can stay tens of time or how to sustain the quality of your policy, the quality of your data. So we have also data. Don't forget, data quality is about metrics of measuring your quality. Yeah, you need to. It's an established metrics in measuring your quality, the quality and integrity of your data. Very important. So the next one is data security and access control policy. This policy specifies who has access to what data, the authentication and authorization procedures, and this also requires for securing data in transit or at rest. So it also addresses the use of firewalls, encryption, and in fact, I think we'll talk about this a little bit when I was doing a recap with respect to the data governance companies. Very, very important. Okay. So, you know, security talking about authorized access, while privacy talking about compliance, regulation and compliance. So both of them combined together is called data protection. But data policy, security and access control is very important. Not everyone has authorized, access to get some information, especially when it's internal or sensitive documents like classified document, or confidential. So if anyone has to come in to receive such, then there must be a procedure or form to fill, and who will be authorizing it will be the data owner. So if it is possible, and why do you want the data, how long do you use it for, on what basis, and these are will not compromise the privacy of who it may concern in terms of the data. Those are the things that we always say, you need to look into, okay? Right, data privacy policy, talking about regulation, I just mentioned this already, so I think you should have it. Yeah, we have like a return, talking about Europe, we're talking about GDPR, and in America we have HIPAA. Those are covers, and no matter how it is, such data will require consent. So if you want someone's data, you must allow the person to give you consent to that effect. But then sometimes when in difficult situations whereby the data owner himself or the one whose data need to be captured, collected, has the incapacitation, then what would you do? So you need to bring a legal team in to make sure you get a consent from, either from the next of kin or from the court himself, in order for anything to, in order for such person data need to be used, especially doctors or, or practitioners or a physician who wants to use someone's data. That person is vulnerable or incapacitated not to have a consent, and there must be a legal way of doing that. That must also be enshrined in that policy in order to protect yourself or not. Okay? But any other thing apart from that, then definitely it's going to cause a big problem, very big problem indeed. So very big problem indeed. And that is why Facebook have been fined. And if Facebook was fined by euro 2.8 billion last year, and they paid it because they're trying to transfer data from Europe to US, and across the board, where there is always policy to look into to get that done. What is applicable in Europe, it might not be the same in America. So what is applicable here might not be the same in Nigeria. So now this time around, Facebook says it's not paying Nigeria a dime. It will just close it. But I know that will be resolved in no time. Okay? So, right. Data privacy policy.
Sorry, but that's a big, with the Facebook issue, that's a very big issue right now in Nigeria, because a lot of people do their buying and selling and other stuff on Facebook. A lot of people who make their money nowadays from Facebook. So if Facebook is threatening to shut down all forms of communication regards Facebook in Nigeria, I don't know how a lot of small-time sole business owners will survive without Facebook.
Yeah, I'm wanting, in terms of crisis, there could be the best. I'm not going to propose whatever, but I know Nigerians are very smart. If the government cannot get that thing resolved, you will discover that something will come out from just like Facebook coming out, and people will be migrating and see what it is, I can tell you. So Nigerians are very smart. They have the brain to create another kind of Facebook, and they're strong. So as at that time, we know what to do. Anything can happen, but then you can't compete with somebody who is already in the system. So yeah, Barrister Emmanuel just put it in our Facebook alternative as well. So thank you. I have the same opinion as you. But then yes,
But
in a competitive environment, oh, someone want to say something? I give opportunity to people
yeah,
to say. Okay.
yes, sir.
Hey,
Ekurumi.
yeah,
But,
good to see you. Yeah.
but I think if the government uh, stands by its decision, it will be a leeway for Nigerians to get a better option, because if Nigeria goes out, if Facebook shut down in Nigeria, that they've gotten out of over 70% of their business in Africa, which they will not want to play with. But there are other platform people can still move to, and the government should use this as a yardstick to test its strength in the IT world. I just pray the people in charge will not play politics. If I remember that of Europe, they insisted they are not paying as well. But at a point, they had to see that they need to pay, because if they shut down in Nigeria and Nigerians can get a better platform in China, and most of the buying and selling are done in China, so it's a better game. Because for me, Africans need to look outside the scope of this power block trying to control us all the time. We need to test something. There are Russian platforms, there are Chinese. All the buying and selling happens in China. Must not
So
go to America.
I quite agree with you, because honestly, in terms of crisis, you get the best. But however, when you thank you so much, Ekurman. I really love that, and I want to be hearing more of you. So I can tell you that initially it might look very kind of a little bit hard, but as time goes on, you will see that there will be a very competitive environment with respect to this. They have muscles, they have the muscles. They have the muscles, okay? I can also tell you that uh, people's ideas are conditioned with the economic and social environment. Nigeria has a good, big population using Facebook. It's not just the youth. And Africa has got the muscle as well. So it's good to have a competition. But the question is this: what necessitated Facebook uh, having that problem could also have in the same platform? Yeah, the government can still come in and begin to do what they want to do. So we need to solve what is the problem. Because this issue is not a Facebook issue. It's a legislation issue, because the thing is that when people don't like something, they won't just decide to find one word or that to close. But I leave that for, because I don't know the details, so I don't know one should quote me on that. But what I want us to understand is that uh, this 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 digital world, and the driver of those digital world is data. So if you know that it will be useful for you to close your business based on you being punished for what you have done wrong, purposely have done wrong, then the decision making, it lies with the leader of such enterprise. Let's move forward on this, because I'm working with time. I have 3 minutes to make sure. I don't know if I can make it, but we're going to have more time, some other time, to get to when we're going to be asking questions and answers relating to industrial work or applicable application to the to the industry. So we need to be sharing all this. So the next one is data sharing and collaboration policy. This policy is very, very important. Okay, very, very important. I know all policies are important, but this one, absolutely very important. Yeah, it applies the guidelines for sharing data with internal and external stakeholders. So though I talked about it not too long, we explore it even in the beginning of this section. So it includes rules for data exchange agreements, and data anonymization, and data sharing best practice. Don't forget the word best practice is very key here. I think I should even underline it if I have the best practice. And I want you to write it down. Best practice is best practice is the most accepted practice, uh, universally accepted, that has produced the best and superior result compared to all alternatives in the whole world, and not excluding update. So if you have standards put together and then you follow the standard as it is, there's a best practice by following the procedure to the standard and processes. And then if you have a program, you have a procedure and a process. In that process, you have policy that the standards are enshrined in it and you're not doing it. So that means you're not having best practice. That is called management practice. So the differential that occur between best practice and management practice called SOP, which is called standard operating procedure, which you never comply as enshrined in the policy. So best practice is very important. In case you are now going to share your data to any stakeholder, whether external or internal, there must be a guidelines agreement to that effect in policy, because if you don't, just like what if it brought us when we were talking about what Parliament had just made mention of right now. So people will be going to jail if they don't follow, best practice in their operating procedures. In every operation from A to B, you must know what to do. Like Facebook in its operation carrying data from Europe to US, they do not follow procedures, and they end up paying within a matter of 2.8 billion. So as data governance in place, you must know what to do. You have an informed decision. Now, before I go, it is imperative that I should let you know, I don't know if I should put it in the literature that when I'm sending it to you, there are benefits of implementing the governance, policies, okay? And also the step to develop the governance policy. Would you like to have everything completely on your literature? Your literature? Hello?
Yes, sir.
For me, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I tell you the truth, this area, people fumble a lot. When they employ them, they will be shivering. And they say, I should create policy. Do you have access? And the next thing they're going to say, I won't say no because I'm on the board. They will say, okay, how can you help this and that? What I will do is that I will put everything, I will tell you how to build a policy from one stage to another, and then you get it right. Is that okay? Thank you for coming in. Any question? Any question? Did you learn something today?
Thank you.
Did you learn something today?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah? Agatha,
Although I joined in late, but at least I learned something.
Sorry? Oh, yeah. You haven't missed great. There's only two classes with me, but one is induction. The other one is one class, which in the beginning I repeated. Don't worry about that. You will get the literature of that as well. If you come for it. I don't know how, are they Sina? I don't know how you go to, how did you get listener? Is anybody who came in through someone?
I saw the notification on a platform.
Okay.
Yes.
The platform has to do with, is it legal? What's your profession, sir?
I'm a legal practitioner. I saw the notification on my law class platform.
Okay, that's very good. These legal people, you say a lot in data governance. So when we're discussing some few things here right now, you will know areas so much because you're used to a lot of data protection and how you can put things together, precedences and jurisprudences together as well, and keep them for future use and how we can deal with them. Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for coming. I love you all. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to And those who want to join, you should use the opportunity to come by the next 2 classes that I will not be able to admit anybody for this cohort. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. All right. I love you all.
Love you too, sir. Thank you,
We
sir.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, sir.